4020.
International Rugby League are going to give some money to Wales and France and Papua New Guinea. So
well, they've prioritised them. So again, they know
50p.
that their budget is limited. It's hard to grant funds to anyone and everyone. So what they've decided to do is prioritise those three nations for mainly technical development, so coaching and I think coach education and match official education. So the resource that they have is going to be directed where they think it's going to have the most initial impact. And then the hope will be that if they can get a major broadcaster for the next World Cup, which will feed back into, not all of it, but a proportion of it, which is what should have happened after the last one and didn't really. They will then have the money to distribute wider to more nations. And according to the latest on Mr. Volandis, who is a bit like the Pope in Australian Rugby League, isn't he? He's the pontiff.
The pontiff.
He wants 20 million quid for the next World Cup.
Wow.
Which would be a massive broadcast deal.
Speaking of giving rugby union a bloody nose, which is we don't often get to do that these days. Now we've got an open gangway, and they pay people legally. Good to see many people picking up Richard Hibbard's quotes from the chief executive of Wales about what he would do with £50,000 to spend on flowers, as the WRU have done. And as we always say at this point, as bad as you may think the Rugby Football League is, we're not the Welsh Rugby Union. So
I do think, and we mentioned it before, and we may have mentioned it last week, that I can't remember if it happened by last week's programme, because I've eaten a lot of chocolate eggs since then. But Cardiff Rugby Union going into administration. If ever there was a time for us to have some kind of strategic plan for professional rugby league in an area where we know there's a player pool, there is a level of interest, we don't play at the same time of year, now would be the chance to do it. Sort of like go back and do Celtic Crusaders properly. We've often said, I think, on this programme that if Wales is going to have a significant presence at that kind of elite level, it almost needs to be the team that represents the whole of the country, a bit like Catalan Dragons isn't Perpignan. So they could they have taken games to Barcelona, because that Catalan motif is as relevant there. Well, you could see that a Celtic Crusaders Mark II with 4 games in Cardiff and 4 games in Swansea and 4 games in Wrexham, it could almost at this point be bigger than we've ever been in Wales before, because of the absolute turmoil that Welsh Rugby Union's in, both domestically and internationally. If we had something about us and some resource, and we wanted to sell the idea to our broadcast partner that we were going to do something different, then I will be doing everything I could at the moment to get a Welsh franchise up and running and in.
Some people have got something about them, but the money bit's the problem. I guess.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure it is. I think for that level of investment, if you, and again, it goes back to who or how they're going to buy into Super League. But if I was the NRL, I would be saying, yeah, London, we can see some advantages. Wales.
Another.
We want to support that as well. We want to have a word with Mr. Hibbard and say, what can we do? What's happening on the ground? I mean, I keep seeing, selection for Wales under 16s, and I think there is a flow of talent coming through. Wheelchair now, they know they're in the next World Cup. They're excited about the prospects of getting more people involved. Seems a bit disconnected that they've got their own league away from. The more official wheelchair channel. So I think somebody needs to do something to bring people around the table. But I do think there's a massive opportunity in Wales at the moment. And if you look back in the history of our sport, we've never quite done it properly. 08, 09, there were teams were playing in the Northern Union. We had a Welsh league around about 1929, 1930. Glamorgan and Monmouth used to be one of the county championship sides that played, but never regularly enough. Cardiff Demons with some of the old British Lions.
Blue Dragons. Demons,
yes. We've done Wales, but not done it
properly.
Well, now is a great opportunity, if we are talking about investment, to do it in a way where we can seriously bloody the nose of rugby union.
To use the correct analogy, there is a mine full of talent we can, or a seam of talent we can mine there.
Absolutely.
If we get it the right way
100%.
around. what happens when you're not when you're the son of a miner, but you've never been down one. That's why I said.
How did we get talking about Wales, by the way?
I think I was just kicking the Welsh Rugby League, but it goes back to when North Wales were up for sale last year and then got sold again. I didn't understand why didn't a top Super League club just invest into that? Because it's the small investment for the big reward, like the women's game.
Absolutely.
We see, Cardiff Demons. I don't know how they're funded, but they've managed to get to the quarterfinals of the Challenge Cup again. They've beaten the Super League side on the way there. Emily Rudge on her social media said they had a really tough game down in Wales. We'll come to the results in a bit. But obviously won comfortably on the scoreboard. So there's something there that is not going to cost too much.
And also, if you had one Welsh Women's Super League team, you would attract the talent from the whole of Wales. Which again, I think there is a reservoir there. You would, if you had some wherewithal about you, perhaps even be trying to get hold of Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney and say, look, we've got a team in North Wales based at Wrexham. We have the idea that we would like a Super League team in Wales, but representative. Would that be something that perhaps some small change in your back pocket you might be interested in?
I don't want to pronounce the name of the racecourse ground in Welsh because I'll mess it up, but Kevin's mentioned Wrexham as well. We blew it with Celtic Crusaders. They had a decent following too. Andy says, just go straight to Cardiff and back them to leave the WRU and switch to Rugby League, give them a fast track to Super League.
Absolutely.
District Rugby League doesn't work. Cardiff must come in as Cardiff, or the Cardiff Rugby Union fans will follow their club. North Wales or South Wales will not work.
Debate worth having though, because Cardiff have gone into administration, which you wouldn't. Again, is there a region of Wales that hasn't had financial trouble? And the national team is apparently woeful.
And as Andy says, if you call them Wrexham and not North Wales, is that going to alienate many of the people involved at the moment? I don't know. But
I think you need to speak to the people.
If it means to be successful.
I think Richard Hibbard, has been there over a year. There's clearly been progress under his watch. I think he would be one of the major people you'd speak to and say, what do you think would have the most impact if we, between us all, could find investors?
Shall I send him a message then and see if he wants to come on the podcast? Speaking of Wales, because everyone loves things going viral and heartwarming moments and such. Billy Boston on the big screen on Friday. That was brilliant, wasn't it? Absolutely superb moment. Everyone loves Billy Boston. Yeah. All-time great. Celebrating while he's still here, because we don't celebrate people while they're here enough. Superb. And everyone applauded.
And went viral.
Great.
I mean, and I know that...
I should have brought the book up to put on the table, shouldn't I? But I didn't.
The people we follow, obviously... channel what kind of things you see on your social media feed, but it seemed to go wider than just rugby league people because it was such a heartwarming moment.
That was our Wales section of the programme done, I think. Anything else happened in Wales this week? Well, North Wales Crusaders beat Midlands Hurricanes 31-18 in League One. Sorry,
and North Wales still. I mean, I know they drew a game, but they haven't lost yet, have they?
They've apparently won all 4 games.
Right. Okay.
The league table still has Cornwall in, which is confusing because they've been expunged. Can we buy their share? Can we buy their membership of the Rugby Football League? Yeah, and then
offer it to
someone. We'll buy Cornwall, and then we get a seat at the table, and we can go to these board meetings and say, "Oi, no,
have you thought of Wales?
Get the free pie and peas and stuff."